Alrighty friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are continuing on our series of rotation guides, looking at the 2-target rotation in this video. Just a reminder for you, if you haven't seen the previous video, we are currently doing a series where I'm looking at the different Mythic plus Feral Druid rotations depending on how many targets there are and as they change depending on what's happening dynamically in the fight. Now I also wanted to mention that I do a free Mythic plus Feral Druid coaching session as part of my stream every 2 weeks or so on a Friday. If you want to have your own video analysis made, then please record yourself in Mythic Plus, send in the video to me via my Discord, a link will be down in the description below, and then I will review those videos on stream. We take the full day just to do a whole coaching session. As I mentioned, it's like a whole free thing. You don't have to be subbed or anything to the channel or anything like that. And you just send in your video. We'll look at it. We'll try and help you improve. We'll look at your mechanics, your positioning, your like utility, your rotation, like all kinds of things. So yeah, and we'll really just pinpoint what you could be looking to improve or what you're doing really, really well. But apart from that, let's get into this video. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be starting off with the more difficult rotation, in my opinion. We're going to be looking at the Blood Talons build with Circle. I actually think that Circle is the best way to play Blood Talons. I think playing Apex with Blood Talons, it just really is not good. Like this kind of rhythm that you get in with Blood Talons, which I'll discuss in a moment, is ruined and kind of dismantled by Apex, in my opinion. You can still play the two together, but I really don't like it personally. Whereas Circle and Blood Talons together actually feels very smooth. So I'm much more desirable of that rotation. You can play Sabretooth here, you can play Savage Roar. I would recommend Predator and Soul for most Mythic plus dungeons, and of course you should always be using Primal Wrath, and then we've got Blood Talons here. So basically the rhythm of Blood Talons in two or more targets, right, is generating 2 procs of Blood Talons, then Rake Spreading, then generating 2 procs of Blood Talons, then Rake Spreading. Generating, Rake Spreading, generating, Rake Spreading. And that's what you're doing. You're also Sunfire Weaving whenever you can. And then, of course, you're using your finishers, right? So on 2 targets, we still technically want to be Ferocious Biting, but we're not going to actually be able to because of Circle. Circle is going to prevent us from being able to do that most of the time. So on 2 targets here, my aim is to get I'm going to be doing this with no cooldowns to start, just to show you the base rotation. So I'm going to go in, I'll Tiger's Fury, Rake Primal, then I want to rake this guy. Then I'll Thrash, then I'll Swipe. So now we're at 2 procs of Blood Talons. Then I will Primal Wrath here, refresh my Rake, refresh my Rake. See, this is just the Rake Spreading segment. We still have a Blood Talons available. Now I'm going to Swipe, I'm going to Primal Wrath, I'm going to Thrash, and now I'm going to re-Rake here. So now I've procced another 2 Blood Talons. I'm going to Sunfire, back into Cat. I'm going to Primal, I'm going to Rake here, and then I would in theory be raking here. There we go. Now I can re-Primal there. Now I refresh the Rake there. Now we're chilling for a moment. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to weave. Back into Cat. I'm going to swipe. I'm going to Primal. I'm going to re-rake here because we still have 1 Blood Talons available. So now we're just chilling. Now we do actually get advantageously able to reset that. Our Thrash was falling off. So that's kind of good. Back into Cat. When you have more targets in this, it's even better with like the Rake Spreading because you'll always have something that you can Rake Spread on. The Rake there. Just maintaining our Thrash. We're swiping now. We're never shredding. Really. We're thrashing and swiping here as well. Back into Boomkin. So this is just our base rotation. Swiping, Primal Wrathing there, double raking. Now we're holding, we're pooling. Little swipe there. I'm just barely maybe clipping before these pandemic windows at times. That's okay. That's okay. Now, because we Tiger Fury here, I can maybe get a bite in. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it there. Oh, see, we just... Primal Wrath just falls off for a little bit. And then now I'm kind of screwed here. See, so you can't really afford to do it, I think. You have to be very, very careful. Even with the Tiger's Fury additional energy, it wasn't quite enough. That's basically that initial base rotation for Feral here on this 2 target with Blood Talons with Circle here. You can't really afford to bite most of the time, I'd say. But you see this like rhythm of we're rake spreading, Primal Wrath, generating Primal Wrath, rake spreading, Primal Wrath, generating Primal Wrath, rake spreading, Primal Wrath, right? And then Sunfire weaving whenever we're low on energy and our bleeds are up. You don't want to weave if your bleeds are down. And if you'll notice, like, apart from that one ferocious bite that I did, it was pretty much a clean rotation. There may be times where I was just raking too early, but on larger AoE packs, it's actually really, really nice because there's always going to be something that doesn't have rake on it. So you're always going to have an opportunity to do a fresh rake. Whereas on 2 target, you may just be clipping during some pandemic windows. Now, if I go into this, I want to go into this rotation with cooldowns. So let's take a little look with cooldowns. So we generate our Blood Talons. We always go into combat with 5 common points, Blood Talons available, max energy, with Tiger's Fury available. This is how you should be starting every single pack in Mythic Plus. I'm going to go in, I'm going to Berserk, Tiger's Fury, Primal. I'm going to rake this guy, I'm going to Thrash, and then I'm just going to re-Primal here, big Convoke. I maybe didn't need to re-Primal that. I'm going to swipe, we get the Blood Talons proc, which is great. Re-raking there, Primal. Now I'm going to have to generate here. I managed to generate, and then I overcapped anyway. I used a swipe when I didn't need to. It's a little bit messy on my part, but that's okay. I don't really like Blood Talons during the or Berserk during blood, like with the Blood Talon circle thing. Like, I don't really like it, but it is what it is. Now we're just chilling. I can weave here a bit. Back into Cat. We're gonna have to refresh these rakes. Always start on the rake that is the lowest. Of however many you have. So this guy on the left needs to have his rake refreshed first, then this guy. And that's the rhythm, and it's always going to be the same. As long as I maintain what I'm doing, it's always going to be the same here. Now, I'm going to shred there, because actually my rakes... I mean, I probably could have held, actually, a little bit. I'm potentially refreshing my rips just a little bit too early. You can get some weak auras that will hit you, show your pandemic windows, your adjusted pandemic windows based on your new uptimes. But that's okay. Back into Boomkin. Back into Cat. Gonna rake. Now, because we have Blood Talons here, we're just raking. We're chilling. We don't need to generate. Now I can Thrash. Now I can swipe. And then I'm gonna hold like 2 seconds. Then I can re-rake there. I could have maybe just held that rotation a little bit longer. This is just where, because I'm recording, I'm, you know. You're not gonna do it. Perfect. But then back into Boomkin. Always make sure you stay in melee range so you can, like, your Boomkin melees are actually pretty strong and you can still generate clear casting from them. So, some good stuff. And then, yeah, and then that's basically it. And now, what would I do here? So I got Convoke back up and then I just, boom, hit with a Convoke there. And then I'll swipe. Yeah, perfect. So the whole point with the swiping coming out of Blood Talons, or coming out of Convoke, is... that, like I said in the previous video, your Convoke is likely to do either a rake and a shred, or a rake and a thrash, or thrash and a shred, or shred, you know, like, it's likely to do 2 out of 3 if it doesn't do all 3. But it absolutely is not going to swipe because it's not in the Convoke pool. So you can swipe and you have a very high chance that you will have already done the other 2, or like 2 out of 3 of the other Blood Talons proccers. Now you've swiped, you've guaranteed a 3rd there. Doesn't always work. Sometimes you don't really get any shreds or you don't get any rakes or thrashes or whatever. So it's like, okay, but it's a gamble. But if it pays off, then you're looking really good. Rather than you never want to reapply a Primal Wrath without Blood Talons up. And if you mess up, then you just need to slow your rotation down. Okay, so I'm now going to imagine that we're playing just the MoC style. Now, again, if you're playing Saber, if you're playing Feral Frenzy, like, it's super easy just to work in a Sabertooth over a Predator. You just have to manage your Tiger's Fury. You just have to think with Sabertooth and Keys, if you're playing it, I have to be 30 seconds ahead. I need to make sure I've got my Tiger's Fury 30 seconds ahead of the next thing, you know? So you just have to kind of be thinking that distance ahead of yourself, but really it doesn't change rotation really. And same with Feral Frenzy, like unless things are dying, not really changing anything. You just Tiger Fury whenever anything dies and you can get that energy back, that's fine. Feral Frenzy, you literally just use it when you have no combo points. If you have Tiger Fury up, cool. If you don't, it's fine, it's whatever. So it's going to generate 5 combo points here, as is the usual. Now I'm still playing Circle at this point, so I probably wouldn't be playing Circle with this build. I'll be honest with you. I would be playing Apex instead if I was going to be playing with MoC. So we go into this now with no cooldowns. All I'd be doing is I'd rake Tiger Fury, Primal Wrath, rake this guy, then I thrash, then I swipe. Pretty much the same as the other rotation. Then I can bite. Now, because we have so much more energy and because we don't have Circle, we can afford to bite here. So I'm going to actually hold, I'm going to rake, then I'm going to Primal, then I'm going to rake this guy, then I'm going to thrash, then I'm going to swipe. Now I'm going to weave. Now I'm going to bite, now I'm going to Primal, now I'm going to swipe. We don't need to refresh our rake yet. I'm going to hold, now I can re-rake, now I can swipe again. I can even bite again. I'm going to rake there. I'm going to Tiger Fury, get my thrash up, get my swipe up. We're chilling. No bleeds need to be redone. I did get an Apex proc there in that transition into Boomkin form. I'm going to re-rake. I'm going to swipe. I'm going to bite. I'm going to rake. I'm going to thrash. You see how you have so much more time here to make these decisions? Back into Boomkin, Sunfire, back into Cat. You have so much more time because your bleeds are not ticking down that much quicker that, like, I can, like, weave in an extra, like, ability before I re-rake. Whereas when I was playing Blood Talons, I was, like, double re-raking. Whereas with this rotation, I can like rake, swipe, then re-rake the other mob, you know? Back into Boomkin. Back into Cat. And obviously, because I'm playing Predator as well, I'm getting the extra 5 seconds on my Tiger's Fury, which is really big. I'm chilling. Oh, Apex proc, so I get double bite there. Chilling again. I'm going to wait for this rake. I'm then going to Primal Wrath, Thrash, Swipe, back into Boomkin, Sunfire, then into Cat, Bite. So you see how you get way more bites with this rotation. So on like a prio target, imagine you had like a prio target in this scenario. This is where I like Apex over Circle. Because with Apex, I'm getting way more prio target bites if I want them. If I don't have a prio target, that's fine. I can spread them. That's cool. But if I have a prio target, oh baby, I'm gonna clap him. You know? So that's basically the rotation there. Now imagine that I had cooldowns available. Let me just get rid of this bite. Imagine that I have cooldowns available and I go into this rotation. What I want to do instead, oh well, not really instead of, I'm just gonna kind of get my, you know, get my bleeds rolling again. And then this is what I've mentioned before, where I can either hold, because I'm not playing Saber, I lose value on my Ferocious Bite. Because I'm not using Blood Talons, I lose damage on my Ferocious Bite. I gain damage on my Thrash Shred Swipe. I gain damage, I gain uptime on Tiger Fury. I gain interest in Tiger Fury. I would normally be playing Carnivorous and Key, so I'm losing that Ferocious Bite damage. So in Raid, what you do is you go in on single target, and you rake, Thrash, Berserk, Tiger's Fury, Shred, Rip. Or, you know, you do Brutal Slash instead of Thrash, whatever. It's, you know, same thing. You get up into that, and then you convoke immediately. As soon as you put that rip up, you convoke. And that's what you do in Raid, because you're playing Saber, you're playing Blood Talons, you're playing Taste for Blood. In Mythic Plus, you're not necessarily. So this is where I like to favor holding my convoke. So what I would do on 2 targets, like going into this, it depends how quickly they're going to be dying. But if they're going to be up for a while... I mean, they're likely going to die very quickly, so maybe I probably would just Berserk Convoke, which is fine. But I just want to show you an alternate rotation here. So what I would do is I would go in, I would rake, Berserk, Tiger Fury, Primal, and then just immediately... You can immediately Convoke there. And then Bite, and then Shred, Bite, Shred. Primal, Rake. I don't need to re-rake on this guy yet. Now, okay, so I said I was gonna... So this is where Havoc kicks in. I said I was gonna hold my Convoke to show you the extended rotation, and then just Havoc kicked in, and I just insta-convoked. Like, it just kicked in for me. But basically what we're doing here is just same thing, like with the cooldowns. You basically just Berserk and then look to Convoke real quick. I held the Rake on the second mob because it's likely that Convoke is going to put a Rake in there. And then I've saved a global and you know, saved combo points and all that stuff to just got the Convoke up. But what you can do is you can go in, you can, you know, you would rake, you do your primal, then you rake this guy, then you can just shred, because if you're in your berserk Tiger's Fury window, then you can like shred or whatever, and just like be like shred bite. When your Tiger's Fury has 2 seconds left, between 2 and 3 seconds left, that is when you convoke. And it basically means that your current Tiger's Fury falls off, and then during your convoke, your Tiger's Fury falls off, and you reapply your Tiger's Fury during your convoke window, which means that then you extend your Tiger's Fury from that initial 15 seconds. We now gain an immediate extra 15 seconds. Oh, hey, would you look at that? Tiger's Fury is now off cooldown. Now you can Tiger's Fury again immediately. And that is the rotation that I like doing in Mythic Plus. On like single target and AoE and whatever, if I can. But that's like the 2 target rotation, really. I mean, there's nothing too finicky. You can still weave when it comes to MoC. You just have to be a little bit like, you have to be more cautious with your energy. So I Sunfire Weave there. I'm gonna re-rake here. I'm gonna re-rake here. I'm gonna Primal Wrath first, then use that bite. But like, you see this rotation is literally like getting up rakes, getting up thrashes, Primal Wrathing, different from the single target rotation, because now we're raking multiple targets, with thrashing instead of not thrashing, and we're swiping instead of shredding. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully this was a good insight into the 2 target rotation for Feral. If you have any questions in the comments, please let me know. Or if you want to stop by my stream or whatever and you ask questions there, twitch.tv/Psybearslat. If you want a full in-depth, kind of breakdown, let me know. If you want to... Sai, why do we swipe instead of shredding on 2 targets? Why is that? Like say you got a question like that, and you want to know why we're doing some of these things, come ask me. But for a video like this, I want to try and keep it as short as possible, but come ask me those things on stream or in the comment section below, and I try and answer as much as I can. Thanks for watching this 2 target guide. Hopefully it was helpful for you. See you in the next one.